Welcome to the Thrive with Whole-istic Healing Co podcast. I am your host, Namita Mahanama. Here, I bring you the synergistic utilization of Western and Eastern modalities to help you thrive in your wellness, to thrive in your mental health, to thrive in life, so that you can feel and be your best self in body, mind, and soul. Thank you for joining me. So, let's jump in together and thrive. So, hello and welcome to episode 10 of the Thrive with Whole-istic Healing Co podcast. So, this is part 2 of a 2-part series on body love, and I've got the beautiful guest Diana Fischer on today. Now, in terms of her bio or a little bit about Diana, she is a life coach with a background in hypnotherapy and the modality called Psych-K. She specializes in empowering women to deeply love themselves and to live a life that they truly love. Now, she has overcome her own body image struggles since becoming a mum of 3, using the mindset techniques that she now uses to guide her clients, connecting them to their own inner wisdom. Now, we have a beautiful, wonderful, and sacred chat together about all things to do with body image and self-love and, the changes that motherhood does bring to our bodies. But I guess as a disclaimer or as an opening introduction, what I would definitely say that if you are feeling like any of these body image conversations are triggering, or that you do have perhaps an eating disorder and you're struggling with perhaps any body dysmorphia, then this is something that speaking to a trained psychologist, a therapist, and GP will certainly be the right space or the right step for you to take. Now, this conversation that we're having is to do with, I guess, very minor body image challenges, and definitely if there is an underlying eating disorder, then please reach out to your trained professional, health professional, and even to amazing organizations like the Butterfly Foundation, which really do help specifically with those patients or people that have eating disorders. So I will link the butterfly.org.au site on the show notes. So if that is something that you feel you may need greater information and greater guidance here, then please do reach out to a specific organization like that. So anyway, let's jump straight into the conversation that I've had with beautiful Diana, and I hope you enjoy. So, hello, and I am here to introduce Diana Fischer from Life Coaching with Diana. And I thought I'd quickly go over how Diana and I met. So I, by chance, was sitting a couple of women down at a women's circle in Perth, and I was drawn to Diana. I just felt she was very soft and open and, really feminine. I was drawn to her. I felt like she just had this aura and this exuberance of confidence, and I was really drawn to you. And I remember even at the end of the session, you sort of asked if I was fine to get home, and I thought, gosh, what a beautiful lady you are. You really stood out for me, and that really started off a beautiful relationship, I feel, and a connection with you. So yes, thank you so much for joining today. And thank you for being here.
Beautiful introduction, by the way.
Yes,
lovely.
Yes. Well, you really had left a beautiful imprint, and I think that's often where connections start. Just sort of, in spaces like that. So I feel really grateful to have met you. And so for our listeners, I really wanted to give you a space and a chance to, I guess, explain who Diana is.
Ooh, that's a very big question, Namita. Yes. Oh, and I'm just so happy that I left that amazing impression on you. Wow.
Yes.
That's really sweet. Thank you. I have Wow. Well, we've had a journey together since then. And
Yes.
I have just loved watching you grow and watching what you are doing in the world because, wow, starting with this tiny little idea, which was in your heart. We knew it was in your heart. And I've just loved watching you do what you've done, and you really on purpose and in alignment and living from your heart space. And that lights me up. That lights me up because I think if we can all do that, if we can all just follow our hearts like that, we're just going to be guided step by step into where it is we're meant to be in the world. So I'm so grateful for you and what you're doing.
No, amazing. And
Oh,
you've been a big part of that too. So thank you. Thank you.
I love having, because we did coaching together and I've loved watching this all unfold. It's just been, your wins are my wins. So
Yes.
it's amazing. So I think I'll talk a little bit about the journey of how I've ended up where I've ended up, because it's a pretty long story, but I will try and keep it as concise and summarized as I can. So I've always worked with women, I've always worked in the space of empowering women. That just seems to be part of my purpose, I think, and why I'm here. I started off, for years and years, for 13 years, I was teaching hypnobirthing. And I was teaching, I'm not sure if you even knew that about me.
Yes, no, I did. Yes.
I don't think I've ever talked about that. So I started off teaching women and their partners how to use the power of going within, going into their minds, going into their bodies to just to have a beautiful experience, to have a beautiful birth experience. And so I've seen, how powerful the mind is. I've seen how powerful the body is. And when it's all in alignment, what happens? So I did that for 13 years. And whilst I was doing that, I was having my own babies. I was going through that journey myself. So I had 3 babies over that time period. Beautiful births. Very, very blessed that I had all very different experiences. And I got to a point where I had my 3rd baby, and I sort of just knew, that's it now. No more children. No more. And just as a natural evolution of that journey coming to an end, I sort of thought, I think it's time now to leave that part of my life behind, being a hypnobirthing teacher. And as, fate would have it, I had an episode where I call it an episode. It really was an episode. Yes. I had a moment where after having 3 children, I wanted to go. I was going on vacation. I was going somewhere nice and warm, and I really wanted to wear a bikini. It was going to be my thing. I was feeling good about myself. I was feeling good about my body. And I think I'd been, doing a lot of walking and, I was kind of looking after myself. And I thought, no, it's time, I want to go and I want to wear this bikini on my vacation. So I go into the shop and I had about 20 bikinis, and there was a lovely woman who was helping me with colors and shapes and cuts and all the rest of it. And I had them all there in front of me. And something happened where I took my clothes off and I was putting on the bikini. And I had a moment where I looked at my reflection, and all of a sudden, I had these reactions happening in my body, because what was happening was I was looking in the mirror at this new body, which I hadn't really processed yet. And this sounds quite strange, but I think maybe I'd been quite disconnected from my body until this moment where I was suddenly faced with a body that I was very, very unfamiliar with. It was a body of a mom who had birthed three large children. Like, I have to say, I'm quite petite, and my husband's 6'4", so I did grow very big babies.
Yes.
My third child was almost 5 kgs.
Amazing.
So yeah, he was big. And I remember in the last stages of the pregnancy that my stomach could stretch so much that it actually hurt to press against my stomach or my belly, because the skin was so stretched.
Yes.
And so consequently, I have a lot of, like, my belly's quite wrinkled. It's I have these stretch marks there. It's kind of like beyond, I want to say beyond repair. I don't know if that's a good way of phrasing it, but there's no amount of diet or exercise that could change the effects of having these large babies in terms of like how my stomach will look from now on.
Sure.
And I know a lot of women can relate to this because pregnancy changes us. It changes our bodies in so many different ways, and it's beautiful. And, I'm the first person to say how grateful I am that I've been able to carry these babies. I know so many women who haven't been lucky enough to do that. So that I have so much gratitude for my body. But there I was, standing in front of a mirror, looking at my stomach, and no matter how much I could rationalize it, you've had babies and gosh, you're so lucky that you were able to do that, and don't focus on your stomach. But that wasn't the reality of what was happening. The reality of what was happening is that I was pretty much having a panic attack.
Sure.
I was looking at my stomach and I was freaking out. There was a lot going on. I didn't try on more than one bikini. Because I was pretty much hyperventilating. And this poor woman outside my fitting room who was helping me was wondering what was happening inside this cubicle. She was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine. And she said, "Can I get you any other sizes?" And I was like, I don't think I want this anymore. I don't think I want to buy the bikini. And there's this lady that's talking to me about mindset and how I have a beautiful body and it's just in my mind. And I'm just like, I can't believe she's telling me about mindset. And there I am. I've been teaching mindset for 20 years.
Yes.
And here I am having this full-on body reaction that I couldn't logic my way out of. So I left it, and I left all of those bikinis on the hangers, and I literally ran out of that shop. I sat in my car and I just had to do some deep breathing. And I was thinking in my head, I don't know if you experienced ever in your life where you have these moments where you're like, this is important. Something big is happening here. This is important.
Yes.
And it was the start of a beautiful journey. This is how I started to move from teaching hypnobirthing into then helping women with self-love and with helping women with body image and helping them to love themselves, because it was something that I had to overcome for myself. And I'm someone that has to, before I teach people how to do things, I have to master it for myself. Similar to you, where you went through this experience with your postpartum journey, and then you have to go through this horrific experience to then have this understanding of what it means for other women who are going through the same thing.
Yes, no, absolutely, absolutely. And so I'm curious, in terms of that shop, when you were in that shop and when we met, how how long a period was that?
Wow. Do you know what? I think it was possibly about a year,
Okay.
maybe a year.
Yes.
Yeah, because I think my
Yes.
youngest was a bit older than by the time I'd met you.
Yeah.
But I was studying at the time, and I was studying this modality called Psych K.
Yes.
And as you know, I've been doing hypnotherapy for years and years. And when I discovered this thing called Psych K, I was just so amazed by the speed of how quickly changes were being made in the subconscious, because this is a big part of how I managed to heal my own relationship with my bodies.
Yes.
And yes, it's really looking at, because nothing's changed in my body. Obviously, my body is my body. I haven't done anything radical. I haven't gone for surgery or laser or anything like that. It's literally what I did was I helped myself to change the perception of what I was seeing in the mirror. So the body didn't change, but my perception of my body completely changed. And not just at a surface level, at a very, very deep subconscious level. And I thought, I can use this on myself. I can use this incredible modality on myself to really help myself, because I was really struggling. And I live in my favorite place in the world is the beach. Yes. My favorite thing to do is walk on the beach, especially in the summer. And I wanted to be able to walk freely in a bikini without having these little voices in my head telling me that I look disgusting and telling me that, people are going to be offended looking at me if they decided to look at me. And that was really what was happening in my head. I literally thought that people would be disgusted if they saw me. Yeah, so changing that was really important to me. And I did, I stood in front of the mirror and I did a Psych K balance on myself, which is, it's really about bringing the left and the right hemispheres of the brain together to make a whole brain state, so that we have access to both hemispheres. Because when we're in a state of stress, it's normally because we've over-identified with either the left or the right side of the brain. And doing this balance helps bring both hemispheres together so that you can see things in a more rational way rather than this completely irrational way of thinking that I had about myself, which was, me hyper focusing on being disgusting and, not perfect and not worthy and unlovable and, all the other horrible things that I thought about myself. And it really helped me. And part of doing this balance was that you have to do an action step afterwards. And my action step was to go back to that shop that I'd run out of and get one of the bikinis, just buy it, and then possibly potentially wear it.
Sure. Yes.
Baby steps. So go back to the shop. And I did. I literally went back to the shop the next day and tried on a bikini. It was bright red. I got a bright red.
Yes.
And I tried it on and I looked in the mirror and, I saw the stretch marks, I saw the wrinkled belly, but I did not have this same crazy reaction that I had done, when I'd gone before. And instead it was just, it was almost like I was looking at myself through different eyes. That's the best way I can explain it. So there was not really any major judgment there, as if I was looking at someone else. Because I would never judge another woman that's like walking on a beach with stretch marks on her belly. It just wouldn't occur to me. It would never be like, I would never think like, oh, she shouldn't be wearing that. I would actually think, oh, that's great. Look at her with all her confidence and look how she can do that. And, I wanted to be that person.
Yeah. So, sorry, first of all, I need to apologize that our neighbours, which is ridiculous, they haven't been doing any work, but today they've decided to do. There's so much clashing and banging outside. But what I wanted to ask you was, why did you think that you were so harsh on yourself? If you wouldn't be like that with others, what What was the difference? Why was your inner talk set in that way to start with?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, I'm very aware that all of us have within us this inner perfectionist and this inner critic that will, tend to focus on the negative. And I just know that's the way that the brain is wired. The brain is designed to focus on the negative, and it's not your truth. It's really just it's the ego mind that's designed to keep you safe. It's the ego mind that's designed to keep you in that state of you should be better, you're not perfect, you're not good enough, everyone else is doing better than you are. Because I've worked with so many people, I am so much more aware that this is the voice that's happening in everybody's head. Everybody's head, even the most confident of people that you would never think how bad, they have that inner critic. They have that little voice that whispers.
Yes.
And it's the voice of, I call it the barking dog. It's like the barking dog within you that just will not be quiet. But it's not your truth. It's not the truth. It is not the voice of your soul. It's not the voice of your spirit. It literally is the voice of the ego. Now I know all of this,
Yes.
I know all of this, but when it's happening to you, you can't see the wood from the trees. It's just so in my face, I couldn't untangle myself from it.
Absolutely. And so prior to this moment in the change room, had you ever seen this ego speaking before? Had you sort of been mindful of its niggle, or was that the first time you actually had been aware of it?
To be honest, I have always had a very kind of athletic body. When I was young, I was in all the sports teams. I was always quite naturally athletic. Yeah. I'd never before had real issues with my body. Like, I had some sort of criticisms about, maybe the size of my breasts or, the size of my thighs. I'm quite muscular. It hadn't been a big, loud voice ever before, and I'd always worn bikinis before I'd had children. Now, I think the more children I had, the more I saw my body changing. It was a complete kind of identity shift, I think. And I would say identity crisis, which so many mums, I think, go through. And we're not really guided through. There's no one that sort of says, are you aware that after you have a child, that you will become a completely different person, mind, body, and spirit? Mm-hmm. There is this huge shift. There's a huge transformation, which nobody is really guiding us through. I don't know if you found that with yourself, after having your boys.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's almost like that journey from maiden to matrescence. It's this, we move from being this single woman with our own identity to this journey of motherhood. And it's I feel like no one's really ever prepared for it. And maybe I was not warned. Maybe people did tell me, but maybe I wasn't, because I wasn't in that stage. I couldn't see it or hear it or believe that it would happen to me either. Yeah, no, absolutely. But I fully agree. It's not something that people openly speak about or share their changes and journey.
And I noticed that, it is changing a lot now. Yes. But I noticed at the time when I started to do this body image work that there was so many beautiful stock photos of pregnant moms, beautiful blooming bellies, and all these lovely maternal shoots that you that you see. Not many of postpartum bodies, and certainly not in a celebratory way.
Yes.
You know, that it's almost like there's a little bit of shame around that. Like, you're no longer this, blooming mother with shiny hair, and it's suddenly you're just now. Yes, everybody will focus now on the baby, and that mother that has gone through this journey for the last 9 months is now, you did a great job, you're now a mum, but suddenly that identity has shifted now. The focus is on the baby and not on the mum. And where does that leave her in terms of processing the new identity? Because with that comes so much. There's so much there in terms of, like, what does it mean now that you're a mom? What does that mean for you?
Absolutely, absolutely. And do you feel like perhaps images, whether it's on social media or these picture perfect moments, is this what sets us up for failure as women, as mothers, whether it's our body image or life in general? Are there such unrealistic expectations? Is that, do you feel, or
there's a lot out there, and just in terms of the way people speak, I mean, just being aware of that kind of, if you've lost weight, for example, after being pregnant, after having your baby, you might get people saying, "Oh, you've lost your baby weight," or "You're looking amazing," or "How did you do it?" And there is this kind of pressure to quote unquote bounce back to the person that you were before. And that is the biggest lie that we can tell women going through this journey, is that you are expected to become the woman that you were before having your child. And that's never going to happen. It is never going to happen. You are changed. And it's this transformation that's not necessarily embraced. It is, kind of shamed that you now look different, or that you have extra weight, for example. And not everybody does. Obviously, it's very, very unique and different. And for example, I know my body after having 3, that it took about probably a year with each pregnancy to be able to sort of wear the clothes that I was wearing before. And sometimes it just didn't happen, and I would, but if I'd had the idea that it was, in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you're meant to be back the way that you were, that's an enormous amount of pressure to put under somebody. And it's just simply unrealistic. And it shouldn't be the expectation, because you are, instead of looking back, I believe that we should be looking forward and embracing this new identity of who it is that you are now, as somebody who's gone through such an incredible journey and such an incredible transformation, has brought forth life. It's just so incredible. And that the postpartum body is not, we don't have these role models, we don't have the people to look up to go, "Oh, okay, so this is what we move towards." It's like we're expected to go back to the maiden, but that's not going to ever happen. So I believe that there is a lot of transformational work that women need to go through, mind, body, and spirit, when they embrace this new identity of who they're growing into. And it can be a beautiful thing, but I do believe that we need more guidance,
Absolutely. And so with the clients that you've seen, have you found that to be a collective experience or a collective pattern that you've noticed?
What I have noticed, Namita, is that the clients that have come to me to help heal body image, what seems to be the thread that runs through the whole journey, because I see women for either 6 or 12 weeks, is that body image is really just the tip of the iceberg.
Yes.
It's not the picture. And they might think it is.
Yes.
As for me, on my personal journey, I thought it was actually all about my body. It wasn't.
Yes.
It was, for me, it was all about the fear of being seen as somebody who wasn't perfect. That's what it was about.
Yes. Yes.
That was the underlying issue that came up so strongly.
Yes.
Is that as a little kid, I'd been conditioned to show up as perfect or you're not acceptable. That was the thread that unraveled with the whole bikini story. It wasn't about the body. Well,
Yes.
on the surface it was, but there was something so much deeper that needed healing there. There was like this level of self-love that needed addressing. And I had an inner child in me that needed a lot of love, needed a lot of acceptance, and a lot of permission. It's okay to show people your vulnerability. It's okay to show people that you're not perfect. That's what it came down to for me. And clients that I've worked with, I've noticed similar stories. And there's a lot of conditioning that's happened from the world, from social media, like you mentioned before. Mm-hmm. Images that are curated and posed to make out like people are not human. Yes. And that they are in fact perfect robots. Yes. Which is it doesn't exist. And I think a big part of the work that I do is around self-acceptance and self-love being at the root of everything. And that comes down to not just the way that you feel about you. That's what impacts everything, how you show up in your work. Yes. Do you go ahead and pursue your dreams? Yes. Do you have, are you in a relationship that is reflecting how you treat yourself? These are the big things that come up in the transformational period of that time. Whereas it may have just appeared as, this is all about body image. It is in fact about so much more, and loving yourself for who you are, the good bits that you're really proud of, and the bits that you don't want anybody to see. It's about embracing it all.
Yes, absolutely. Sorry to interrupt your Thrive podcast. I just wanted to hop on quickly to talk about my whole-istic-healing-co.com platform. I have created a website with blogs, links to videos on YouTube, all of the podcast episodes and show notes, as well as a shop to purchase my books, guided meditations, and other products. It continues to grow and evolve, containing information from a pharmacist's perspective, as well as from an Eastern Ayurveda perspective. Jump on, and I hope you find some resources to help you thrive. Now, back to the episode. So the other thing I wanted to ask you was, what would happen if we didn't address these issues? So what if we left it just lying dormant? We didn't correct it or look into it deeper. What would be the possible outcome of that?
Well, it's an interesting question. And I think that it really is dependent on the person, because I think that you can just brush it under the rug. But I can only speak for myself. Yes. If I had done that, I would only have ever worn a one piece. I know that for sure, which it's fine. I do have one pieces, which I love as well. I really do. But I would have only ever felt confident and comfortable wearing that. I think it would have also really impacted my relationship with my husband. Yes. Honestly, in terms of feeling comfortable being naked around him, or just I think actually it impacts everything, the way that I walk into a room, honestly. Yes. And for me, what it was about, like I said, was, showing up as not being perfect, and that being okay. I think that honestly would have impacted my confidence in my business, like being able to step out and, help other people. I think that would have been honestly the most tragic thing for me is not really being able to continue working with that authenticity of of knowing that no one is perfect. Nobody, even the most beautiful models that walk, the Victoria's Secret models, they're probably the most insecure women, because there is this high expectation that they can never grow old.
Mhm.
They can never put on weight.
Yes.
And, it's just this, I feel like it's actually a complete loss of freedom. That's what it is.
Yes.
It's a loss of freedom, For me, being able to wear a bikini or a one piece or whatever and walk along the beach and just enjoy the sunshine, enjoy the fresh air, just enjoy the beautiful place without being in this prison of, oh my God, what do I look like? Are people looking at me? Are people judging me? That would really ruin the whole experience for me. So that's the biggest plus, I think, is the sense of freedom and the sense of self-acceptance that actually radiates from you.
Yeah.
There is, like what we talked about at the very beginning, you were attracted to my energy.
Yes.
Obviously, I'm not walking around in a bikini when we met.
Exactly. But you still exuded that divine feminine confidence. And when you were speaking about the work that you did, it made sense to me. I thought, are in this realm because it just felt so authentic, and it exuded from your whole energy field, and I really was drawn to that. And so that was a visual and almost visceral feeling that I was able to get hold of, and I wanted that. And that's why I reached out to you. I was like, I want what you're having.
Oh, that just makes me so happy, Namita. And that's the thing, like working on yourself benefits everybody. It's not just you, it's everybody that you meet. It's everybody that you connect with in a day-to-day basis. Like just that continuous working on loving yourself and filling up your cup so that you are overflowing, and you give other people the overflow, and not your scarcity, and not your or wanting other people to fill your cup for you.
Yeah.
I think that's another thing. It's like we all have the power to fill up ourselves, to look after ourselves, to heal ourselves, and to really nurture that inner child who, has been hurt in the past, or has been rejected or humiliated, and we all have this, by the way. This is not just only certain people have this. We all have this, we all have this little girl inside of us that just needs loving, that just needs filling up and looking after.
Absolutely. And what I found, and I guess from my experience from working with you, was that it's very easy to want to do certain things from a logical, that scientific mind. Oh, I need or should do this. But what I've noticed in myself is that naturally I'm so much more kind and compassionate to myself, where I would have been a lot more harsh or naturally maybe more critical. Now, without even trying, I am much softer on myself, and I will let things slide that ordinarily I wouldn't have. And that sort of extends into all of my life, not just body image. It sort of is, even if it's to do with work, or it's to do with even losing my temper with my children. Normally I think you go into a bit more self-blame, but naturally with the work and the tools that you were able to offer me, I am so much more kind and gentle and soft and forgiving. And the next moment, I don't even have to wait for the next day. The next moment is an opportunity for me to start afresh, and not from that blame or, beating this poor darling workhorse to the pulp. It's just so much more compassionate. And that's what I loved the most from this work, is that it extended beyond just image. And that is, yes, definitely part of it. I think that's probably the easiest thing that we can maybe focus on, because there's a mirror, or we look at things. When there are other aspects that it does translate to. So I 100% can attest to that, for sure.
That's amazing, and celebrating you for that, because gosh, what a gift that you can treat yourself that way, because what happens, your boys see you,
Yes.
they're absorbing that. They don't just see it,
Yes.
they absorb it.
Yes.
And that becomes part of their makeup about how they treat themselves. Like, this is like the big picture, and this is why I say, body image is the tip of the iceberg. You doing that, and you being able to meet yourself with that love and compassion has impacted not just you, but your whole family, and on a very subtle level, everyone that is in the presence of you, and that is just, that makes me so happy.
And look, and that's why I'm such an advocate of people, obviously, my listeners, they may be in the thick of postnatal depression. So, I wouldn't necessarily agree that this is the right time to delve into your inner child, perhaps, However, I'm always an advocate of everyone looking deeper and really trying to be their best selves, and definitely so I've written about you in my book, When You Were Body Positive Mama. So you've obviously, rebranded and reshifted towards life coaching, because I can see that there is so much more to the whole picture. So in terms of what you do now on a daily basis with your clients, what does that look like?
Oh, well, okay. So I have a community which is called the Self-Love Community, and that's on Facebook. So that is a place, I'm just so passionate about creating community.
Yes.
Because, it's just, especially I think for your women who are in postpartum, the sense of being alone in it is massive. Yes. And I think, even beyond that, even when kids are grown, I believe so passionately that we just need a space, even if it's not an in-person space, if it's an online space, where you can come and be yourself, and there is only positive. You're only met with positivity there. You're only met with love there. There's no negativity whatsoever. So I offer some beautiful events. I try and do events every month, where they're free, and you can come and you can just come and absorb some of these beautiful speakers that talk about practical ways to bring in more self-love in your life.
And can anyone join, or how does one join?
Yes. I don't know if you can link it, or if you link my Instagram, there's a little link in my link tree on there to come and join that community. Yes. And then also I offer one-to-one work as well, where, I take you on a journey, as you know. Yes. I take you on a journey for either 6 or 12 weeks, where I really just help to align you to living your life that you love. And that's in every single area of your life. Love towards yourself, love towards your purpose and why you're here, love in your relationships, all of it. Yes. So that's a beautiful one-to-one journey, which is very personalized for you. Yes. And, we look at some of the little mindset blocks that have been holding you back. So as a coach, I'm not there to give advice or to tell you what to do. I'm really there to just hold you to your highest potential and just let you connect with that really wise part of you inside your heart, inside your spirit, that just knows exactly why you're here and what you're meant to be sharing with the world.
Absolutely. No, it's amazing work. And I guess I feel that it's a modality that would help enable you to thrive in your life. So to be able to see the future, and then, actually creating that belief that you can achieve whatever it is that you want to need to. And I guess, for those women and families that are in the thick of it, then of course, I'm a strong advocate for Western treatments and, obviously seeking the Western help that you need. But this, I feel, would be something I know I wouldn't have been able to delve into this in the thick of my postnatal depression. I didn't even have the cognition or the cognitive ability to do anything other than just survive the day. So I
Mm.
guess as a disclaimer, this work only was able to happen when I was already in my health and vitality, and I've just taken that to the next level through. Yeah, it's almost like it's the icing on the cake. It just sort of helps you, brings that sweetness to
Oh,
really just
100% bring
make the
sweetness.
cake perfect. Yeah,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
amazing.
Oh, for sure. And I think the timing of it, it's always when you're ready.
Yes.
You know, I'm a big believer in the right time for the right thing.
Yes, no, absolutely. And would you say to any of the listeners that may be having years and years of not having self-love or great connection with their body, is there hope? For the most stubborn of cases, will they, conquer it once and for all? Is it possible for them?
I believe it's possible. I really believe it's possible. And I'm not going to sit here and say it's going to happen overnight. It's not necessarily going to be a super fast journey,
Mhm.
but we can all start somewhere. We can all start somewhere. And I think the first place to start is with gratitude. It's with gratitude, to have a really good gratitude practice, especially if you're at a place where you can't find anything that you love about yourself, maybe not even like about yourself. That would be the first step. I would say to you is just find one thing that you are grateful for in your body. And it's just such a shift in mindset, because we can hyper focus on what we hate about ourselves. That's very, very easy to do because the brain is wired for negativity. So focusing on gratitude, like I like to do this in the shower.
Yes.
When I'm just stepping into the shower, and I will just do a little gratitude practice as I'm washing my different body parts.
Yes.
So, I might just, put soap on, and I'll just rub my arms, and I'll be like, I'm so thankful for my arms. And then I will say, because. So I'm not just grateful for my arms. I go that extra step.
Yes.
I'm so grateful for my arms because I can lift up my child and give him a hug this morning, or I can feed myself. I have hands that work. Or my legs, not everybody is so blessed to have legs that work, and what they would give to have your legs, which might be, not looking as perfect as you would like them to, but you have them and they're strong, and, you can be grateful for that. So there's always somewhere that you can start. You don't expect to wake up and just be 100% loving yourself and your body. There's always a place that you can start. And I think gratitude is number one.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I normally, at the end of my episodes, I give a pearl to practice or a mindful moment to practice each day through the week as a takeaway practice to do. And I think that would be a beautiful one for everyone to try in the shower. And, that's something that I feel everyone could do that every day.
Yes, yeah, and everyone can do it.
Yes.
If you could ask your little child to do this, and
Yes.
it's a great habit for them to do as well.
Absolutely.
I completely agree.
Absolutely. And I guess my last one would be if someone is struggling, so they're already feeling overwhelmed, they may be in the thick of anxiety and depression post-delivery or in pregnancy, would that gratitude practice help, or would there be another strategy that may help?
I have another strategy.
Yes.
I have another strategy, and this is for if you are completely overwhelmed, if you're completely in the thick of it. Here's what you do. Bring your hand up to your heart space, close your eyes, and just take a really big, deep breath, right? Wherever you are right now, and just ask yourself one question. And that question is, what do you need right now?
Mm-hmm.
What do you need right now? And ask yourself from that really loving space where it's as if you're asking that small little child in you, which is just completely lost and, has no one to turn to. Ask as if you're asking that part of you, I'm here. What is it that you need right now? And just listen. listen intuitively for what comes up. All right. And you might be surprised what it is. Sometimes it's as simple as I'm thirsty. I need water. And you might have just been so busy with the baby, or, you just completely have lost touch with yourself as what it is that you need right now. Or it might just be like, I need a hug. I need this I'm feeling like I really need a hug. And you can give that to yourself.
Yes.
Literally just wrapping your arms around your body and squeezing in and just being in a space where you can receive your own hug. Like, what a gift to give yourself. That is a filling up, from the inside out. So I call that little process a check-in process. And that's something you can do, even if you're holding your baby, wherever, you can always put your hand up onto your heart, close your eyes, and ask yourself, what do I need right now? I encourage everyone to do that multiple times a day.
Yes. No, that's a beautiful, very simple, but very inward practice that no one else can answer for you. only you. Yeah, only you can sort of look within and find that. So that's very, very beautiful. So I will definitely link your Facebook group, your self-love group, on the show notes, and so hopefully everyone will find you and get to see all the beautiful work that you do and be part of that community. I'm a firm believer of creating communities as well, and I think that's very, very important.
And I also offer free 45-minute calls to anybody that would like a little window of time to discuss anything that they want to discuss, in terms of like some strategies for themselves. And if you would like to, it's an opportunity to ask questions about working with me on a one-to-one, but you can have the call and decide not to work with me and still get value from the call. So I do offer that as well.
Okay, no, that's perfect. That's amazing. But thank you so much, Diana. I think that this has been a lovely chat, and I hope, but thank you so much. And I will put up all of the links on the show notes. So thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining me today. If you've enjoyed this podcast, it would be so amazing if you could leave a review, subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss a thing, share this resource and my Whole-istic Healing Co website, where you will find all of the episodes and show notes, as well as share my social media to your friends and to all those who would benefit from its content. I hope you have received a beautiful takeaway to help you thrive, and I look so forward to joining you again next week.